This is the video for Chapter 4, Part 1. I realized that the videos that I had posted were for the fall semester when Chapter 4 was at the very end of the semester rather than at the beginning. So I've made a new set of videos, and I'll start with the ESO lens. So there are a few things that I want you to know are kind of there as just existence. You'll see some things like in the StatCrunch report, or I guess the results that are there. One of them is R squared. Know that exists. It's not something that we really look at in this class, but it actually tells how much of the change or variance, remember variance or difference is the standard deviation squared. So how much of that difference between the y values is because of the difference in the x value. That's that r squared value. Know it exists. You don't really need to, we don't use it. We don't have any homework questions regarding that value, but it's something good to know is there. Supported, you need to be able to do all of the different StatCrunch things, but I'm very happy for you to continue to have your StatCrunch step-by-step guide if you need to, or written down steps of how to get the values from StatCrunch. Things you need to be able to do independently is determine if there's a linear relationship. Or not. And that's just using the R value versus the table. That's something that you should be able to do, hopefully without notes. Of course, you are going to have a note card if you want for the test, but still, I think that's something you should be able to do. And then for a lifetime, and I think this is something that you should just always be able, if you're given a rate of change, you should be able to interpret a rate of change, which of course is just a slope. You should be able to interpret that beyond this class, because there's all types of things where you'll see rates of change or slopes in real life. There are three main concepts that we're going to cover in section 4.1. Scatter diagrams or scatter plots, properties of a linear correlation coefficient, that's our R value that we're going to find, and then the idea of this linear relation between two variables. So is there a relationship or not? And of course we are going to focus just on linear relations. So I've opened up the data for our textbook's example 1 in section 4.1. I believe this might be the same data that you have in your interactive assignment, but I just wanted to go through how to create a scatter plot using StatCrunch. And to do this is actually pretty easy. Of course, you've got your StatCrunch guide if you want to use it. Let's see, so if we go to content, and there we go, StatCrunch step-by-step guide. Remember, you can always find the section number. So we're going to look for section 4.1. So we have scatter diagrams, correlation coefficient. Those are the two things I'll show you in this video. And then we also have this determining the least squared regression line. So those three things are the things that we'll do in chapter 4. So let's take a look at our data. So of course you'll open in StatCrunch. It's pretty much going to always be an option if you need to create a scatter diagram. So to do that, we're not going to use stat. Most of our things are stat, but since we're making a graph, we'll go to graph, And then if you notice, scatter plot is one of the options. So scatter plot, scatter diagram, they're all the same. It's just different names for the same graph. Now, of course, your x variable and y variable, we'll talk about the explanatory and response variable a little bit more in the video to come, but our x variable is going to be club head speed, and our y variable is going to be distance. Usually, if you're given data, that will be the relationship. This will be x, this will be y. But it may not be, so you have to be careful. Make sure you're reading, seeing what it says. All right, if we look, I don't think there's anything else that we have to change. I'm just double checking. We do want to display points, and I think everything else is good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit compute, and there we go. There is our scatter plots, and as you've got our dots, here are these little blue circles. So that is a scatter plot or a scatter diagram in StatCrunch.